Welcome to the Palo Santo and Thoughts podcast. As I light the Palo Santo, let us reset the space, allowing new energy and new thoughts to enter. What was does not automatically become what is, and even if it does, it does not mean it always will. Let us release what we must to receive what we must. It is mine. It is yours. What is for us will always be Ashe.
Welcome back. What's up to the old homies? What's up to the new homies? I'm Carter, and this is the Palo Santo and Thoughts podcast. Today, I'm joined with the homie
Marili.
Yeah.
Marili is a psychologist from Mexico who also has been doing like a lot of holistic work. And just really appreciate you pulling up to the podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me here in your sacred space. And I really appreciate the invite and having this space to share and connect in a different way.
Yeah, for sure. I also know when we were talking earlier, there's like a lot of work that you're doing. So I want to also I feel like it'd be cool if you share with the homies as well.
Yeah, okay. So I'm from Mexico, as you mentioned. And I'm a psychologist, a psychotherapist, sexologist, and I discover myself as being a client, how much big of an impact has this holistic healing. So I've started to assist into many ceremonies until I understood like, okay, I can learn the tools so I can share and provide and serve others in a holistic way. So so I'm starting to share holistic ceremonies with the sacred medicine of cacao, which is a medicine that comes from my ancestors. And it's so beautiful because it's a medicine of the heart. So it's open up, it helps you to be in touch with your vulnerability, but in a tender way. And in holistic encounters where we working through different deep topics, and like building a conscious community, healing together, breathing together, have a pause for real. Sometimes that's so important. Mostly in New York, like we're always rushing, we're always like, instead of being in a lay back, take your time. It's about like really, oh, where am I going next? And I'm going late. So take the moment to have a safe space, build community, like conscious community with love and the medicine of the heart, to share and talk and breathe and take a pause together. I think it's very powerful. So I'm sharing that here for whoever feels the call. I'm here at espiralmedicina.mgr.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is. And we'll get a chance to talk more about love because I feel like that. Well, that's what this podcast is about. It's all about, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Really, the inspiration behind the book is
Yes.
from Bell Hooks All About Love, New Visions. And, for season 1, I covered each episode, like in each episode, I covered each chapter of the book. And in the, season 2, it's more so been a space to invite different homies with different perspectives to like share their experience about love. So really excited for us to get a chance to talk about that. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I think I'm feeling very grounded right now. But at the same time, as my cousin was telling me a few days ago, with the head up, like I'm feeling grounded, but I'm looking at the horizon, what's coming next. I'm looking at like where's my path going. So I'm
beautiful.
feeling good.
It's beautiful.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I feel like I've been in this space of just like having a lot of like busyness and like a lot of exerting a lot of energy, and all for the purpose of like helping others, right? Which is like beautiful. And I think that when you are in a space where you are of service to others, you can bring a lot of passion, a lot of compassion, and something that one of my mentors mentioned was like compassion burnout. And I was like, oh. Because we can talk about like burnout, but like compassion burnout, I was just like, it's like, yeah, I think I'm in that space. So I'm like looking forward to just like rejuvenating and being in a space where I can. So I am good because I feel like I've been able to do the things that I wanted to do, and yeah, I'm good because I'm here right now.
Wow, that's very deep.
Yeah.
And makes me think about the book when she mentions about the importance of self-love.
Yes.
So I would like ask if that's okay, like now after you share this, like how do you practice or what practices do you do to come back to yourself
Yeah.
when you're feeling this compassion burnout or when you feel like maybe you've given so much of yourself?
Yeah.
How do you like put it back, like all that compassion but towards you?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly think it's kind of connected to like the grace piece, which we'll get a chance to check in about that. Um, but just like making sure that I just have time for me. And so like even if that means just like sitting in complete silence,
Yeah.
I'm like, because I feel like sometimes a lot of the work that I do requires a lot of communication to different people, and being in a space where I'm just like not talking at all, just like silent, completely silent.
Yeah.
Just allows for me to be with myself and like checking with myself. And music too. Like music is a way in which like it like rejuvenates me. So I'll listen to music that I'm like, when I think of it, it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So like really thinking about, for me, the ways in which I like return back to myself is like engaging in practices that essentially like allow for me to feel like calm my nervous system down, but then also like can like rejuvenate it in a good way.
Yes. Like a reset.
Exactly. Like having one of my mentors shared, like it's important to have like practices of like exiting out of like different things. So like how you enter into a space, but then also how you exit. Just like making sure to be very intentional about that. And granted, like this week, not the best because I mean, it's like it's a little quack, you know what I mean? A little quack.
Yes.
But
it happens.
You know what I mean? It happens, and that's
It
the grace, right?
happens,
The grace
yes.
acknowledging like the reality of like that happens, and that's okay. And it's just like, how do you want to move through it better? Taking a moment to reflect, like, okay, all right, I don't really want to feel like this again. So like, what do I want to do differently? So yeah, that would be the ways in which I do that. What about you?
About the practices?
Yeah, like practices. How do you return back to yourself in those moments where you feel like there's been a lot of energy that you are exerting or putting out there?
Yeah.
How do you give it back to yourself?
Yeah. I feel like, yes, the silence. I'm also, my type of work and service is into being very out and talk a lot or listen a lot and hold a lot of spaces. So that could be very tiring. So
Yeah.
sometimes either like just have a moment of silence. Like silence is so beautiful.
It's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Let's talk more about silence. No, for real.
Yeah.
Taking a good deep like shower. I feel like, lighting up a candle, scrubbing myself, like going back in touch with my body. And then I feel sometimes it's like kind of like a meditation. I feel sometimes like the water is cleaning me, energetically too. So taking the time to like take a deep shower, like I call it my ritual.
Yeah.
So like having my ritual moment where I can scrub, I'm listening to music, I have the candle smell, and I'm like really taking my time, And then, after like, putting the lotion on and, like taking this moment really for me.
Yeah.
That's a ritual that I really atesoro. It's a word in Spanish. I don't know how to say it in English. It's like my treasure moment. So that's important for me. Or even like after a long, tired day of walking all around in the city or whatever, like having a moment at night to either like with my partner to read a book or like do some yoga together, some breathings, or like just to cuddle a little bit, and then we always do this other ritual. I'm very about rituals. Life is a ritual.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very like, okay, let's take these gummies to make us feel like we really rest at night, and spray the bed with special smells, and putting like warm lights, like start to unwinding a little bit. So yeah, I think that's some rituals I like to practice to go back to my peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I feel like with rituals it's like it's a commitment to self. It's a commitment to self. It's like the things that we recognize that by us doing these different things, it makes us feel better.
Yes.
And so it's just like, I think what I'm thinking about is also like the exploration of figuring out what your rituals are. You know what I mean? Where it's like, what are the practices that you can do that, whether it's like at the beginning or end of the day, that like by you doing it, it makes you feel better. So I love that you honor that. Yeah. So I feel like we kind of talked about it a little bit, but I'm gonna still ask it, just for the flow of it. Which is like, how have you been showing grace to yourself recently?
Okay. I think recognizing what are my needs and what am I feeling. Like, for example, like my partner and I, we are always like this, which I love it. I love it. But sometimes I have to recognize, or he also has to recognize, like, oh, I feel like I need some space. I feel like I want to do this activity by my own. I think that's important. Or like when I'm on the train and I'm starting to feel anxiety because it's very overwhelming with so many people and energy, and mostly on crowded hours. I'm recognizing, like, why am I feeling this like pressure on my chest? Like, why am I like, taking a deep breath, go back to my senses. Something that is so basic, but the same is so important.
Yes.
Yeah, and we forget, like, just the sense of breathing.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. So yeah, I think recognizing where am I at.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I feel like for me, that's why I like the train rides. Like, sometimes I can. Sometimes my work requires me to go a little further.
Okay.
And so it's like an hour train ride essentially, right? And around those sometimes busy moments, and I feel like what you were talking about is like there's definitely moments where I just like take a few breaths of like I'm feeling this tension of just like the day, and I'm like. I know people probably like, what's going on with that person?
Yeah.
They're like, he look crazy. Is this person okay? And I'm like, I am good. But like I'm realizing like what my body's like feeling, and I want to release that. I don't want to hold that. So it's like, even in moments where it might feel like, oh, I look crazy, it's like, I don't care about that. Like, what matters most is like me tuning into my body. So I love that you like showing grace to yourself has been like really just checking in with yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And as you were saying at the beginning, like checking into when do I need to reset?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I would say for me, honestly, I feel like I was gonna say I don't know if I've been showing myself grace, but I actually think that I have, and maybe it's not as much. You know what I mean? But I think that, like, for me, this week recently, showing grace towards myself, I think, just like knowing what I need. I feel like because things have felt like a little bit more busier this week, I've been like slow to do other things, and just like giving myself the grace to be like, that's okay. Like I can get to it, and if something doesn't feel right, to not do it, to not force it. So I would say just not forcing it, and allowing myself to, like, even if there's certain things that do feel cray, that's like kind of like out of my control. Then what are the things that I do have control over that I can like make sure it's not too cray. So I think that that's the way in which I've been showing grace to myself.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like people like us that we're very sensitive, I feel, and very empathetic with others, and are like very about holding spaces and talking and caring so much that to turn that eye or that vision towards us, you know, like we also need to give us some compassion, you know, and it's okay. It's part of the process. If sometimes you feel like, you know, I just want to sleep the whole day today, like I don't want to go to work, you know, like that's also okay.
Exactly.
You know, like to give up, it's, I think, like if seen as something so bad, but it's also okay to give up one day, you know, like.
And if you want to come back to it, you can. And if not, come back to it later, or don't come back to it at all. You know,
Exactly.
like we have that choice, and that's what grace makes space for. Is like honoring what we need and that kindness towards ourselves.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So, yeah, I love that. Hey, okay. So I always love, before we kind of get into the conversation, to always like start with like to really put an intention to the space. You know, so like really thinking about like we're about to co-create the space, and so what is one intention that you want to invite into the space?
Okay. I think the intention for tonight or today will be to be more in gratitude.
Gratitude. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Sometimes we forget, you know, like I've been through hard, intense, very intense emotional process these last weeks. And that sometimes, even though if you got the tools, even though if you work so much in yourself, you grow so much, you know, like we're still humans. So I've been going through this really intense emotional, like, you know, up and downs that you can fall into, like just have a perspective of, I don't know, of the intensity, like, you know, like sometimes like, oh, like why this is not happening, or why this is not like that, or why this is different, or why this is not as how I always expected or wanted, or even me, you know, like I don't know, like these different questions that comes when you're on this perspective. And then like the glass, seeing it from the other side, you know, like, oh, but I'm here, and I have this person, I have all these opportunities and all these blessings, and having it in another way is also perfect, you know? Yeah.
It makes me think about like how we can be in it, because I've also been experiencing that in a way as well this past couple of weeks, where I feel like I've just been in it, you know, and sometimes, you know, I think the thing that I've been like doing more of, or trying to do more of, right, is just like pulling myself out of it to look and see, right, like the fuller picture of like, oh snap, wait a minute, like when I like technically look back at where I'm at right now, this is actually where I said I wanted to be a couple months ago. So like, even though in the midst of it right now, this feels like all these different things, there's so much gratitude for the fact that I'm even right here in this moment.
Amen.
You know, so like, and that's like when we're able to do that, right? Like what that does for like our mindset. Because honestly, it's like I feel like how we move through the world and how we see it, like that has such an impact on how we show up. And so like being able to pull, like to like see a fuller perspective of what's happening, I think it just allows for us to gain more understanding and gratitude to see the things that maybe it's hard to like experience it or have space for it in that moment. But when you kind of pull out of it, it's like, oh, wait a minute, like this is, I've been praying for this, you know what I mean?
Literally. No, that's so crazy, because I feel like, oh, actually, wait a minute, my manifestations have arrived, you know?
Exactly.
Maybe with a different color, with a different layer, you know, different form, but this is what I've dreamed about. Like, I'm here, I'm having a like really thank you, universe, thank you, God, because I'm, you know, it's definitely a blessing, and I will always say to my partner, I'm God's favorite because, and the universe is hearing you all the time. It's why you need to be careful with
what you say, exactly.
what you say and
Absolutely.
what you put out, because they're hearing, you
Yeah.
know, they're listening.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, being in gratitude, it helps to put more gratitude and compassionate and love words, mindset, and actions,
Yeah.
you know, and that gets reflected back, you know. Yeah, I think it's like a cycle, like it's really vice versa, you know.
Like what you put out, and then like what you then can have more space to receive.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
yes, yes.
I agree.
And also like, yeah, what you put out, but also what you receive and how, like, yeah, like it's really what you have in you and what you, yeah, what you put out, but also how you see what it comes back. Yeah.
And in that, like how what it like how it comes back, it also depends on how you put it out too. You know.
Yeah.
So that's something. Okay, well, we gotta get it
Yeah.
started. I'm like, we haven't even light the Palo Santo stick yet. I'm like, let me light this Palo Santo. All right, wait a minute now. Wait a. You see, this is. I feel like this is gonna be an episode, y'all. I'm already feeling it. I'm sensitive. All right. But so before we start the podcast, I always love to like start with like a little jingle. So Palo Santo stick, you know, it's in the name. Reason why I love Palo Santo so much is because, you know, we are going to co-create this space, and you know, it's really an invitation to like bring in good vibes, good energy. There's already a lot of good vibes and good energy in here, you know what I mean? But there's no such thing as too much, you know.
Yes.
So we like the
never
Palo
too
Santo
much.
stick, you know. So we like the Palo Santo stick as a way to bring in the good vibes, bring in the good energy, and also like I like to say like reset the space, you know what I mean? I love a little jingle, so feel free to join.
Okay.
You already know what it is, right? All right, y'all. So the Palo Santo stick is lit. Hey, the Palo Santo stick is lit. Hey, the Palo Santo stick is lit. Hey, the Palo Santo stick is lit. Hey. Yes. So now that the Palo Santo stick is lit, we can get into the thoughts, this conversation that we've already really been starting. So,
I love the smell.
Right? It's just like, yeah. Let me bring it over. There you go. There it is. Just move around. There it is. Yes. It's like a calming energy too. You know what I mean? Where it's like.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, like, for being here, you know? I feel like I'm in this moment of like this. I feel like this is probably the first time there's been like a pause after lighting a Palo Santo stick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like typically it's like going right into it. I'm like, wow, that was like actually really good to just kind of like, just, you know, so.
Yeah, take it in.
Yeah. I so with All About Love, New Visions. So Bell Hooks talks about some graffiti work that she would walk by, and it served as like inspiration for her.
Yeah.
And it said the search for love continues even in the face of great odds. So the first question that I would like to put into space is, why do you believe the search for love must continue even in the face of great odds?
I think it should continue because love sets you free. You know?
Yeah.
Love, it's a motivation, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a definitely it's a everyday work.
Yeah.
but also it's so deliberated. It's when I feel, when I feel love.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel, I feel so happy, so fulfilled, so healthy, so strong, like so hopeful. Like I feel love. I mean, I even have a tattoo that it's love.
Yeah.
Because love for me is the main source.
Yeah.
Love is so important to be like that gas in ourselves, like in our, if you see yourself like it's a car, like it's this gas that just makes you keep going, like, and when you have it, you do the things that you love with more passion, with more joy, like your work, your hobbies, or your relationships, with your family, your friends, your partners, like you do it more in like a service, like it's why I feel like even though sometimes it can be hard, even though sometimes it can be challenging, even though sometimes it can be very painful and tiring, like sometimes you just want to drop the towel, because it gets hard. Like we can't control everything, like or everyone else. Like it gets hard, but I feel like it's always good to continue in the hope and belief of it, because it's, I don't know, it's what heals. It is what heals.
It is what heals. I'm sitting with that because I'm like, there was a conversation I had with someone earlier, actually a previous episode, and we were talking about like the idea of like being healed, and it's like we're constantly on the journey of healing, So it's like I don't know if we reach a state of being healed, but like the continuous journey, the continuous effort towards healing is something that is like continues. And I was like, when you said love heals, it's like a part of the healing process, love must be the foundation of that, So it made me think about.
Yes. And in a realistic way.
Yes.
Not so much in like, even though I love Disney, like not so much into the Disney prince and princess story, because it requires more, like, and it requires a lot of tenderness, like, I think love and tenderness goes together, like I feel like it's really what heals. Healthy, tender love, I think is what really, and I feel very moved. I want to cry.
It's okay. Express those emotions. All right. Yeah.
I just feel like it's what heals all wounds and all patterns and all scars, from whoever gave it to us, So I really feel like tenderness and conscious, healthy love, and the choice of taking the work, it's really what heals. And from a psychologist's point of view, like that's the challenge, to help and guide and accompany others from a tender type of relationship, to change the perspective or the feeling of the all relationships with this new type of relationship, to construct a new perspective type of relationship out of consciousness and tenderness and caring and seeing each other,
You said tenderness, and I would love to hear like you share more about what does tenderness mean to you? What does that look like? Because I think that, right, like with love being something that requires so much work, that bringing that tenderness into it, I think makes that's like the grace, you know, it's like the softness, and sometimes one might not have been exposed to tenderness before, you know, like love wasn't tender or hasn't been tender. And so I was curious to hear more from you, like, what does that look like for you?
I feel like being in openness, one, and two, I mean, I think it's related to openness, but being in vulnerability,
Yeah.
you know? And also, I will say to be in touch with your inner child, you know, and to hug that inner child, because I understand not all of us had the same healthy love perspective that we're working on it right now, you know. But to see that child and hug it and tell him, her, or them, like, everything's gonna be okay. I'm here for you, and give these little moments to yourself with tenderness, you know, to caress yourself, to have some joyful outside activities, to allow yourself to express your feelings, your fears. And if you are with your loved ones, that they can receive it and accept it with tenderness too, you know, like, I think one of my love languages that is very important for me is touch. So, you know, like a caress, a hug, you know, just like being there next to each other.
Yeah.
And not necessarily partners, also a friend, you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like one of my best friends, when I had this such a bad trip, like on a brownie, and I passed out, like it was so bad. I thought I was gonna die. And she just held my hand the whole time. And when I was coming back from it, she was doing piojito to me, that is like head massage. And that felt so much like in contact with my inner child, like what my mom used to do to me sometimes, you know, like, oh, okay, everything's gonna be good. So yeah.
I love that. Love that. I feel like I've definitely been in the space of welcoming more tenderness into my life. I feel like and I don't know, I don't know if like if society makes space for men to experience a lot of tenderness.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, part of my journey has been to just like see what it looks like, try to do it more, and then also be open to receiving it more as well.
Yeah.
It's like that continuous willingness to just like learn and try it on has allowed for me to grow in that.
Yeah.
And then also over time you realize it's just like a muscle that you just it's not necessarily about not having the capacity to do it. It's more of like just have to strengthen that muscle. You just have to flex it more, you know? So it just, when you said that, cause I was like, oh yeah, like, well, I'm like, I don't know if my, I would say now I do have guy friends that are, you know, that we can have that level of closeness in that way of support. But I don't know if historically that's how I've experienced relationships with my guy friends. I feel like I experienced that with women, and I don't think that it. You know, I feel like, you know, we in general, I think that we have to like invite those spaces and not only see that, you know, it's like you can express tenderness in all different relationships. It doesn't only have to be in this particular dynamic. And that's what like something that made me think about when you said that.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with what you're saying, because on the patriarchy world that we are, it's really about teaching you guys since you're kids that you have to be tough, that it's not allowed to cry, it's not allowed to be open in vulnerability, it's not allowed to tarara, you know, you have to be this strong figure, you know, like, and I imagine how hard would that be, you know, to not be able to express. So I'll have a lot of empathy for you all. Like, I know it's a process, and I admire the man who dares to go through the waves of that process.
Yeah.
Because I know it must not be easy.
Yeah, and I think even, you know, I think that one of the things that can sometimes feel tough is like this idea that vulnerability is a sign of weakness. You know, but I'm like, if vulnerability is a sign of weakness, then why is it so hard to do it?
Yeah.
So obviously, it is a sign of strength, like
It is,
a level of
yeah.
strength and courage that is like that by us leaning into it, like you said earlier, that love frees us. And I
Yes.
think that like
Yes.
vulnerability frees us, you
Totally.
know? So
Mostly
yeah,
for men.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Like totally, I agree on that. Like really learning to do that and really, I mean, I think it's like to dare
yeah,
to be in the process and to be in that position and to dare to open yourself to your another guy friend,
yeah,
or like it's admirable and
yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I definitely encourage that to happen more.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like I will say that I'm starting to see that more within because I think that, it's part of it is acknowledging that you want to be well. Like mental and emotional wellness is important to you.
Yeah.
And I think when that becomes like a priority, I think it becomes easier to identify spaces and
Yeah.
relationships where that's like that mutual common interest. And then
Yeah.
how do you all cultivate that together? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? What that looks like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm thankful and I'm blessed in the sense where I've been able to cultivate that,
Yeah.
and continue to cultivate it.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that. And I think that it goes back to just like the intentionality of just wanting those spaces, wanting it for you, and then by
Yeah.
you wanting it for you, then like finding like community. Even if it might not be the people that are in close proximity to you now. It's like, oh, let me go out, let me try to like go a little further and see, and then you
Yeah.
find it, and then if you want to bring it back, try it on, see what happens. But
Yeah.
it's like worth a try.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think it's also learning to see who's really your people,
Yeah,
right? Because I feel like, at least on my experience, I feel like I've always been very open. So that is like a double-sided sword.
yeah,
I don't know how to say this saying,
yeah,
but it's like it could be either very good because I connect very deeply with many people, or it could be bad because I mean, everyone, it's not on the same
wave, vibe.
on the same wave
Yeah,
on the process, so they take sometimes that to hold back
yeah,
or like to do hurtful stuff in general. So it's, I think, for me, one of my biggest lessons about being open. I encourage people to be open, but also to be careful, to also protect yourself, to also like, who am I sharing with, and how much am I sharing, and
yeah,
how much is this person is honoring
yeah,
what I'm sharing,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was a word that popped in my mind, and I was like, "What is that word?" But it's just like discernment, discernment,
Okay, what is
discernment.
that?
It's like just like choosing wisely.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Like just being based off of like what you're seeing or what you're experiencing, like being intentional with how you navigate or how you choose to respond to it.
Yes.
So like that's discernment.
Yes.
So that's
Okay,
what
I
when you
like
said that,
that.
it made me think about discernment. It's just like
Yes.
how important it is just to have discernment with any relationship that you're in.
Yeah.
But especially I think when the spaces of like those vulnerable moments, it's like because I do believe that being vulnerable, like sometimes it takes that first person to initiate it. And then like
Yeah.
it creates a space for more vulnerability to exist.
Yeah.
And also there's levels of vulnerability as well. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so it's like, really also checking in with what you, because I think that one of the things that we encourage with like, and like the work that I do is like when there's spaces for deep reflection to invite folks to think about like, okay, what can you like honor what you need and like honor what you have the capacity to share, because like sometimes it's like I can't be that vulnerable right now because also I may not necessarily have the capacity to like contain it, or the other person might have the capacity to contain it. So
Yeah.
like what can I contain within self in this
Yeah.
particular moment? So I think it's
Yeah.
just like part of like kind of with the vulnerability is that checking in with self peace.
Yeah. And that makes me think about something I learned in school.
Yeah.
It's to have good ethics.
Yes.
you know, to have good ethics, and also in the spiritual way, like to know your truth.
Yeah.
Like how much, like what you just said, how much can I really hold space into this topic, you know, or how much time do I got,
Yeah.
or like in what part of my process I am to hold this topic that maybe might trigger all wounds or all events,
Yes.
you know, like maybe I don't want to touch
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
now. And I think that's also okay, like, you know, even for professionals, you know, like I think, or, you know, with a friend or whatever, it's always good to like also set up boundaries,
Yeah.
like, you know, be true with our boundaries, like, okay, this is too much for me now, or I don't know how to handle this, I don't have the tools, I don't have the information, you know, like, but I'm here with you on silence, in
Yeah.
silence, you know.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like,
I can walk with you to the park.
you know, it's like, and that could be enough. Like just like the presence,
Yeah.
just having someone to share that space. Because I feel like when you're able to feel comfortable being quiet with someone, there is like a level of closeness that it can create a level of discomfort, especially if you're in a space where you feel like you always have to be like the one to like continue the conversation or flow of something, to then be like, we're gonna just sit in this silence. You know what I mean? I also think in those newer spaces, it's like letting people know that that's okay too. Like, hey, we can like be in moments of silence together and
Yeah.
not like have to feel like we have to fill this our time together with like words.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Or try to express things in other type of languages.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe like non-verbal, but more like body language, you know. And I think it's cool when the other person, when the relationship is close enough that you can read each other
Yeah.
without really asking for it or
Yeah.
saying it, you
Yeah.
know. I think that's when I really identify, okay, we're close.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I see
Yeah.
you, you know? I see
Yes,
you. I see
yes.
you.
I see you and I feel seen, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. It's so beautiful. I think it's like because I feel like that's been kind of coming up more in the space where it's like, what is it really? What does it feel to? What does it mean to be seen by someone? You know? And so I feel like for you, I would love to hear like, what does it mean for you to be seen by others close to you?
Okay. I think recognition.
Mm. Mm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Recognition and appreciation.
Mm.
You know, like when um, my partner, my boyfriend, when he comes back from work and I've been like doing all this house stuff, he every time, like every time he comes back and he's like, "Oh, the house is so clean. Thank you,
Aw.
baby, for your efforts."
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
You know.
Look at that joy on your face.
Yeah, when he's like, "Oh, it smells so good," or
Yeah,
even if I cook the same thing for 2 days, you
yeah,
know, it's like, "Oh, like this tastes so good. Like,
yeah,
thank you so much for doing all these efforts or for holding the things down," you know,
yeah,
like I really feel appreciated and seen
yeah.
and recognized, you know,
Mm,
like, and that's so beautiful. I feel seen. Or when he's like, "Oh, I appreciate when you told me this or have done that," you know. Or my best friends, after she's going through something and I pick up the phone even though if it's late or
yeah,
whatever, and I have some words with her, and then she's like, "Really, thank you for taking the time," you know. And it's like, yeah, you know,
yeah,
I think, I mean, it would be like words of affirmation
yeah.
that says recognition and appreciation. I think that's what makes me feel seen.
I love that. I love that. I I feel like recognition is it's something that I've learned that I appreciate, you know. But it's like authentic recognition,
Yeah.
you know, and like recognition also from people who I know care about me, you know. So I think that resonates with me, and yeah, I think recognition and appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like I even think about just like a recent situation that happened, and I was like, there's moments where when I care for you, when I love you, I'll overextend, you know, and I felt like it wasn't appreciated or recognized, and I was like, mm-mm, mm-mm, you know,
Yeah, I've been there,
you
done
know,
that.
you know,
Yes,
so
yes, yes.
I like no, no, and I think that's the thing where I'm like in the space now. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And it's just
Yeah.
because
Like, yeah, yeah.
because for me something I've like it's a thing that I've been like called working on for like years. But I think for me it's like very easy to cut someone off. You know, like it's a very like
Okay,
you know
yeah.
like I'm just
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm someone who I am very genuine and I like I lead with love, and so I'm like when I feel like love is not being reciprocated or offered,
Yeah, like both
I'm
sides.
just like I don't think we need to share space, you know, like I feel like that's just like something to that I've over time feel like I just as you get older, right, you just have to be mindful of like who are you around, who are you sharing energy with, who are you sharing
Yeah.
space with, regardless of the dynamic or relationship. So yeah, I definitely feel like that's connected to being seen, and which I also think is like I think that's like I think I feel like that's probably how a lot of people actually feel seen. It's like being recognized and
Right?
appreciated. You know, like I just think that's
Yeah.
like that's connected to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
Yeah, I
even
think so too.
because I was thinking about one of my colleagues, and they were just saying that you know someone like one of their friends was like, "Yo, I noticed you're doing all this work, and like, how are you doing?" You know, and it was just like in that moment, it was like acknowledgement, but also recognition of
Yeah.
like what's going on with you? You know, like
Yeah.
you're doing all these different things,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like, how are
yeah.
you?
Are you
Yeah, are you
okay?
okay? So it's like,
Yeah.
um, feeling seen is also that too, where it's like having people who check in on you, you know, where you're like,
Yes.
how are you doing? You know,
Yes.
especially as someone who, you know, when you hold a lot of space for other people, it's important to like have people around who are also like, you all right?
Yeah,
How?
care for
Yeah,
you.
like how are you?
Yeah.
Not like how you doing? Like the general, but like legit, like that piece. So, I love that. I love that. So pretty much in like the book, Bell Hooks talks about like women being love practitioners, and would you consider yourself a love practitioner?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you can know by
yeah,
now.
yeah. I was like, you know, I didn't want to make no assumptions. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like you're a love practitioner, but I was like, let me just ask.
Yeah, yeah.
And so because I think it's something that came up. Reason why I asked that was because like I recognize that also within that dynamic, you know, like within the book she was talking about, but then I had another homie pull up and she said something that really stood out to me where it was just like all women might not be love practitioners, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or might not want to hold that like as something that they identify with.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me just actually check. So that's why I asked. I was like, let me ask. So
Yeah.
as a love practitioner, you know, when you think about love, you said so much already.
Yeah.
What is a lesson that you would invite others to do or to practice on the journey of love?
I think to dare to buy the tickets of the journey, jump to the plane,
Yeah.
arrive to the unknown land, like to the unknown land that it's always going to be a beautiful land, even though if it requires the whole efforts of a trip, of a journey,
Yeah.
you know, drive to the airport, you know,
Mm-hmm.
go through security, you know, it could be something tough or not, like, you know, like, then maybe it's a long trip, maybe it's a
Yeah.
short trip, maybe you have turbulence,
Yeah.
you know, like, but take the trip,
Yeah.
take the journey, like,
Mm.
it's at the end, it's a journey, and it's beautiful to be, I think, be brave to be in openness.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. It's like, just do it. Just do
Yeah. And you know what? Not all waters are the same.
it. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like one experience is never the same as the other one
Mm-hmm.
because it's with different people.
Yeah.
And I will imagine that you've learned from the last one, and if you didn't, the lessons are gonna come again.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I like to say that phrase a lot. Not all waters are the same because every experience is different.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes me like, because we're like constantly changing. The people that we're engaging with are constantly changing, and as we change, we learn, we grow, and so it's just like on the process, like just doing it. It's also like the curiosity to like want to learn, but also the openness to like teach,
Yeah.
and just like patience for that too. Because I think that like it's something that was coming to my mind was just like how we could like everything's so different, and so like the
Yeah.
time of like when this happened for this particular relationship
Yeah.
might look different for this other relationship, and
Yeah.
just like by having more spaciousness in that, it creates a little bit more.
Yeah.
I guess not comparing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that can
yeah.
sometimes be like
Yeah, that
a
can
slippery
happen
slope,
too.
you know?
Yes,
It could be a
yes,
slippery
yes.
slope.
Yeah. I think I would say patience and compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like work within yourself.
Yes.
You know, I invite everyone to go to therapy
Yeah.
because it's really a sacred space to heal
Yeah.
and to grow
Mm-hmm.
and to learn new tools.
Yeah.
So I think by doing that work and process, and also try to be in openness and
Yes.
vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
and again in tenderness,
Mm-hmm.
it all comes together,
Yeah.
right? And then by the time you meet another person,
Mm-hmm.
it's different because
Yeah.
you are different,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I know it can be scary because sometimes we don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And there is so many stigmas. But also, I will say, just do it. Like, just jump.
I love that. I love that. Just jump, y'all. Just jump. So I think that I would love for us to like transition to the next part of our episode. So the next segment is called Dropping Gems. And so pretty much within this series, within this particular part of the episode, there's different aspects of love. So it's like self-love, friendship love, family love, romantic love, spiritual love.
Okay.
And so they're all in this bowl. Don't know which one we're gonna get.
Okay.
So surprise. So pretty much I'm gonna pick one out. Also, if you want to pick, you can too. All right.
Yes,
And
don't mess with my
I'm
don't mess
like,
with my luck.
I'm like, you can pick too. All right. It's not only me, okay? But so pretty much the depending on which type of love it is, then I will ask like, what's your favorite gem about that love, and then
Okay.
why, and then how did you learn that lesson?
Okay.
All right. I also have a jingle with this.
Okay.
So I love jingles, y'all. I can't help it. Can't help it. All right. So I say we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping gems, we dropping what, we dropping what,
Okay.
gems, what, gems, what, gems, what, gems. Hey, that was a new one. That was a new one. That was a new one. All right, y'all. So we have this bowl right here. Would you want to choose or?
Sure. Yes. Okay, I got one.
All right. What is it?
Self-love.
Oh! Oh, okay. All right. That's a good one.
Okay. Two.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your favorite gem about
Okay.
self-love and why? And then another like part two to that is like, how did you learn that gem?
Okay. Okay, just because English is my second language.
Yeah.
Gem, you mean as what's my favorite
Lesson.
lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my favorite lesson about self-love is I think yeah, to treasure yourself,
Mm.
to really treasure and honor who you are
Mm.
and all your process.
Yeah.
You know, like honor your process.
Mm. And why is that your favorite lesson?
I think because sometimes I or we forget how much difficult or how much that process took from us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just forget, you know, like I forget. And I think to be in recognition of my process,
Yeah.
it's honoring me and those different versions of myself
Yeah.
and my growth. And that's what, when I'm in recognition and honoring myself, it's when I feel, you know, when I'm in contact with my self love, I'm like, okay, girl, like
Yeah.
you've grown,
Yeah.
you're here, you
Yeah.
know, like you've gone through so many different shit and so
Yeah.
many different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're good and we're happy, and you know, and it's good. And then doing all these other rituals to support that, like the rituals I was mentioning before,
Yeah.
to rituals that support myself.
I love that. I love that. When you it made me think about like just the importance of not settling, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you said that, because I was thinking about it earlier about like how, and I would even say like knowing when we might be settling and how we show love towards ourselves, you know, where it's like, I deserve to treat myself better, you
Amen.
know?
Yes,
And
yes,
like
yes,
when I
yes,
say that and I continue to like that's like that becomes like the forefront of my how I move and also how I engage with other relationships. It's
yes,
like I deserve to treat myself better. And like, is this doing that? You
yes,
know? And it is like a level of accountability where it's like the invitation of like, but also, you know, when thinking about our process, right? It's like we can look back and see our growth of like,
yeah,
I've been treating myself better and I want to continue to grow in that, you
yeah,
know? So that's what made me think about when you said that. When you think of that.
yeah, totally. And that really touches me because I feel like there's sometimes, even though I've grown so much, and then I'm facing these moments where I'm accepting treatments or something that is not what I deserve,
Yeah,
you know, or
yeah,
letting it pass.
yeah,
And I'm like, wait, wait, wait,
yeah,
wait.
yeah,
I don't deserve this.
yeah,
I'm not there anymore.
yeah,
Like, ciao,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Ciao.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I deserve more, and I deserve everything in more alignment with love and oneness and
yeah,
God, you know?
yeah. And something something that came up was just like also telling people, you know, like what we need from them and what we just need from our different relationships. Because,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I think about like, yeah, I don't deserve this, and also I'm like, what do I deserve, and like how can I bring that into the spaces and to know because like what because we're constantly changing and evolving, like how
Yeah.
people might have understood our needs and wants as it could be a little different.
Yeah.
So, you know, making space to, which we kind of talked about earlier, right? About like that learning of each other and relearning,
Yeah.
to know like what what do you want this day? Like, what do you need to like? How? What does it mean to support you, show up for you? So
Yeah.
that's what it made me think about.
Yeah, and I see that it moves you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel like yeah, I think it's a good affirmation. I deserve better and I want better for me. Because when we make that statement, you know, like words have power, and we know after we say that,
Yeah.
is it better?
Yeah.
Is where am I better?
Yeah.
And like, what's going to get me closer to it?
Yeah.
You know, what can I do for me? What can I give to me?
Yes.
What must change
Yeah.
to make this happen?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I love affirmations. I do a daily affirmation, and it is something that it just it's like it kind of like how we were talking about like the how you go out into the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's like those certain things that you do, those practices, those rituals that you do that
Yes.
by you doing these different things, you can go out in the
Yes.
world in a particular way.
Yes.
Like the affirmations is one of those things where I'm like, I say these things to myself every day, and by me doing that, I want to create those things. I want to make sure that I'm in spaces where these things can happen.
Totally.
So it's like, yeah, it's just that definitely hit. So I love that.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I resonate with that. I love affirmations too.
Yeah.
Before, I used to always paste post-its on my mirror, a mirror that I know I always see.
Yeah.
And sometimes I recommend that to some of my patients.
Yeah.
You know, like affirmations that you want to see every day that makes you feel stronger, that makes you feel good, that makes you feel that self-love, fulfillment, you know. And I'm not doing it lately on post-its, but I'm doing it in my mind, you know, like when I go out, I'm like, I got this, you know, or whenever I feel insecure, I'm like, you're beautiful, you know, like, or you've grown so much, you're brave. So, you know, also like, I like this one a lot, that I trust and let go,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything. There is something that is so powerful in just knowing like everything happens how it's supposed to when it's supposed to. You know.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
So yeah. Okay. Well, we are like getting close to our end of our conversation.
Okay.
And then all about love. Bell Hooks talks about really it's like an invitation for people to return back to love. And so, you know, how how can people return back to love?
I think by learning how to love themselves first.
Yeah.
Learning how to love themselves first, because if you don't love yourself, how can you love other?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in a healthy, tender, conscious way.
Yeah.
So, for sure, therapy.
Yeah.
For sure, learning to have a more conscious choosing of who you surround yourself.
Yeah.
Friends, spaces where you work,
Yeah.
where you share, you know, dates, partners. Like, I remember when I was starting to read dates before, and I was just like, I don't want to keep hearing these people talking about these superficial stuff, you know, like I want to go deep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, learning to choose who you surround yourself. Yeah, so really, yeah, I think I will say learning to how to love and learn more about yourself and your needs and wants.
Yeah.
So that can be reflected after.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, and I also like, you know, therapy is so many people have so many different experiences of it.
Yeah.
You know, and something that you said around how we have to like have discernment around like the people that we. I think it also is the same with therapy as well. Because like different knowing what we need from our therapist, and know what type of therapist we want, and who we want to be our therapist, and like understanding that, you know, similar to any relationship, we have to keep exploring and figuring out what we need. And so sometimes, 'cause I
Yes.
think that sometimes people might have like a bad experience with one therapist, like, all right, nope, I'm done, I'm done, no more,
Yes,
and it's just like,
yes.
well, no, maybe it's another one,
Yeah.
and like then you are like, oh, okay, maybe it's another one, but continue on that journey of like getting that support.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I feel like it's definitely shifted for sure around like therapy. I think that there was a moment
Yeah.
where like therapy was like only if something was wrong,
Yes.
and it's like it can just be about like sustainability.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about something being wrong. It's more of like how do you remain well?
Exactly.
Like how does that wellness sustain?
Exactly.
That's what I think therapy can do.
Yes.
So yeah, I really love that invitation.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Invitation.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, I feel like I am sitting in gratitude right now for just like the space that we shared, and um, thank you so much for just like being in the space and just sharing your perspective and
Yeah.
um, sharing your presence. Because like, yeah, thank you. Thank you. You have a very,
Thank
very nice energy.
you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You
Thank
too.
you. Thank
I
you.
really feel very comfortable here.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very free to share my insights. So thank you for creating this safe space.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, homies, wow. We appreciate you for tuning in to another episode of the Palo Santo and Thoughts podcast. Is there anything that you want to share before we always?
Maybe to remember all is about love.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
It's all about love. Please
Yes.
do get All About Love New Visions by Bell Hooks if you haven't already. And thank you so much for tuning into another episode. I hope that you have a lovely rest of the morning, day, evening, or just wherever you're at in the world.
Yes.
Take care, be well, and until next time, peace.